Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. If we are truly paying attention to the things that are happening around us, we see that times are truly changing and things are being put into gear for the redemption of the children of Israel and Israel's big coming out party to the nations. Understand that the nations have been tricked into being themselves, if you will. If everyone would have truly known who the children of Israel were, they would not have allowed all of these things to continue and go in the manner that they have gone. Yahweh knows that the powers that be have always known who we are, but Yahweh has allowed the masses of people to believe those things so that our affliction could go forth. That affliction served several purposes because of our disobedience and walking in the word. But then again, especially when it comes to the end part of that punishment, those things are to persuade us to get our things together. But before we get started today, brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence.
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Messiah, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Messiah also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. It is written that every branch that bears fruit shall be purged, so that it may bring forth more fruit. When a tree is pruned, Small portions of it are taken away, that it may be persuaded to grow. To purge means to remove with the intent to purify. Gold tried in the fire is free from flaws because the fire has burned off and removed the imperfections and left behind a perfected commodity. When a garment has been stained, it may be soaked in a harsh chemical to remove the stain. If this chemical or cleanser does not work the first time, the process is repeated over and over until the desired result is accomplished. It is written, "Be you perfect as I am perfect." Yet none of us are born perfect or has yet seen perfection. We must then allow ourselves to be purged unto perfection. Let's begin today in Psalms chapter 51. Psalms chapter 51, and we're going to begin that at verse 1. It is written to those that overcome. So there are some things that we're going to have to make it through. And all things that we encounter are not meant for punishment. Some things are meant for our spiritual growth. We would like to believe that we would do certain things and put ourselves in certain positions. But the truth is, it normally takes some kind of situation or a certain circumstance that pushes us to a limit that we just would not ordinarily try to reach on our own. Psalms chapter 51, and let's begin at verse 1.
Have mercy upon me, O Elohim, according to your loving kindness. According unto the multitude of your tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin.
The first part about this is humbling yourself to be able to deal with Yahweh, and first of all, admit that you have transgression. See, a lot of people, they can't get to this step. They can't get to verse 2. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, because they can't admit that they have any issues. So how can you be cleansed of something that you can't admit you have? If there's a stain on some clothes that you're trying to get out, you can't just imagine that the stain ain't there. That means you ain't gonna deal with it. You got to first acknowledge, all right, man, I stained this. I got to figure out how to get this out. That's when the process begins. The process can't begin until you have first acknowledged that there's something there. And if you don't acknowledge that there's something there, it's going to always be there. Now, you can look at something so long that you don't see it no more. But everybody else see it. Everybody else know it's there. Go ahead.
Psalms 51 and verse 3. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against you only have I sinned, and done this evil in your sight.
The law was given by Yahweh. For I acknowledge my transgression, and my sin is ever before me. That's step 1. If that's not happening, all the rest of it is just practice. Go ahead.
That you mighteth be justified when you speaketh, and be clear when you judgeth. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you shall make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which you have broken may rejoice. Hide your face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right spirit within me.
Create a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. That's something you have to search for. That's just not automatically there. And it's amazing because people always say things like, God knows my heart. It's written in the book that the heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? Go ahead.
Verse 11. Cast me not away from your presence, and take not your Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation, and uphold me with your spirit, with your free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors their ways, Then will I teach transgressors your ways,
yeah.
and sinners shall be converted unto you. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O Elohim, you Elohim of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. O Adonai, open you my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. For you desireth not sacrifice, else would I give it. You delighteth not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of Elohim are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O Elohim, you will not despise.
This is the biggest offering that one can offer. The sacrifices of Elohim are a broken spirit. Why? Because it's only at that point that you can accept change. Once somebody is haughty and riding high, they're not trying to hear nothing that you got to say. And we're not trying to undergo any change. But that broken spirit, that contrite heart, it has now been formed to a way that now all of a sudden it can receive instruction. So you can't teach somebody who already believe they know and they already got a stiff neck. So everything you say, that's just practice. And you may find yourself talking to somebody about the word, and then like a year later, you say something else, and you think you repeating it, and they be like, "Wow, man, I ain't never heard that before, brother. I told you that like 8 times." No, I ain't never heard that. Right? See, that's what a stiff neck and a proud spirit do. You talking to them, and them words just bouncing off the side of their head. Pow! And nothing went in there. Pow! Pow! Year later, you say it, thinking you repeating it. They are just flabbergasted. That ear just opened up. All of those stuff you were saying before, you was just praying. You were just beating at the door. That ear hadn't opened yet. So if you're gonna deal with this word, you got to be willing to repeat yourself. Yeah, that speaker in there kind of loud. It's echoing. Ephraim, adjust that volume. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Do good in your good pleasure unto Zion. Build you the walls of Jerusalem. Then shall you be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon your altar.
All right, let's go to Mark 11. Mark 11, and let's read verses 24 through 26.
Verse 24. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. And when you stand praying, forgive if you have aught against any, that your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father which is in heaven forgive you your trespass.
So you have a situation as though as you are asking for forgiveness, you are putting yourself in a situation, especially if you have no forgiveness inside of you. So to Yahweh, then this looks like straight hypocrisy. How you gonna ask for that you're not willing to give? You don't have the right to ask for that. You don't have the right to ask Yahweh for forgiveness, but there's absolutely no forgiveness in you. And it is amazing when situation and circumstances arise, you'll see the unforgiving hearts that people have. See, you may be, things may look one way without situations. This is why my elder used to say, you know people by working with them. Because certain things happen and you get to see people in action, and then you get to see how things really work. Because like I always say, everybody had that interview face where you know we're nice as long as things go nice. But Yahweh is going to allow some tumultuous things to come into your life, because it's through those things that the true nature of you is being exposed, even sometimes to you. Because sometimes you can tell people certain things about themselves, and they'll tell you, man, you lying on me. You lying on me. That situation have to happen, or certain situations have to happen once they are now in tune to watch. And then the situation happens, they see what they do. Now all of a sudden, now they hear you. They might have been doing that for 40 years and never believe that they have ever done that. They first needed to hear it, then be watching, then see the situation or something happens that allows that particular attribute to come out. Now they see it. Now to you, it might seem like, man, this person crazy. How you not see this? Sometimes it's hard to see this way. You know, the eyes point that way. So it's really easy to see that stuff. It's hard to see this stuff. So sometimes you have to get some help from other people to see this stuff. See, it's really easy for you to see that way. This is why the whole family of Israel has to help one another. Let's go to Galatians chapter 6. And we're going to read verses 1 through 10. But you know, help is only good if you use it. Help don't really help you if you ain't gonna listen to it. There are a lot of people that talk to. I mean, they got a lot of counselors they'll talk to, and they get a lot of advice. But at the end of the day, they're not really trying to follow any of that advice. So their counselors really didn't do them any good. Galatians chapter 6, and let's read verses 1 through 10.
Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. Bear you one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of the Messiah. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, Elohim is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap.
Right. So whatsoever you plant in the earth is what's going to grow out of the earth. So the things that you put forth, those are the things you're going to receive. If you put forth a certain spirit, a certain type of things, those are the things that's going to return back to you. Now, the problem with that is Yahweh is not limited by time. It might be 30, 40 years before you receive back that which you planted. And the problem with that is most of us have forgotten what we did by the time that plant grew. We done forgot them was your seeds you put in that. You planted that. See, you done forgot you planted it 30, 40 years later. And sometimes that might be manifested in your own children. So you have to pay attention when it comes down to this, because we are limited by time. Yahweh not limited by time. Time don't mean nothing to Yahweh. So just because you done forgot don't mean it didn't happen. Go ahead.
Verse 8. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not.
It is amazing, this thing, and let us not be weary in well-doing. I've seen people in situations where they'll try to work something out, maybe once or twice, and they weary already. How you get weary after 2 tries? You know how long our people have gone through captivities? You have to wonder, like, what you have to be glad and happy about the time in which you were born. I mean, what would a spirit like that do during the time of slavery when they had no hope whatsoever? We don't consider how blessed we are to even be here in this time. We're talking working sun up to sundown, no pay, barely enough food to survive. Man, these people today don't get up to noon. And we're talking about some of the things that these things are talking about how we're supposed to treat one another, enduring some of these things. And man, you just back up one generation and see all the fight that people had to go through just to be able to ride, keep their seat on the bus. And some of these very people would die if we were in those positions now. And it's really a shame. Go ahead.
Verse 10. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
Especially them who are of the household of faith. Let's go to Matthew chapter 18. You know, if we truly sought after things the way we seek after silver and gold, we would be a whole lot better off. Because I tell you what, we don't stop seeking silver or gold after one or two tries. I bet you that. Let us seek after getting some money. It didn't work. Man. And we try one more time. Oh, man, that didn't work. Well, I'm just done. I'm just going to be poor for the rest of my life. No. That ain't the way we do that. That's not the way we do that. Right. It's a little bit of hypocrisy in all of us. Look how, you know, if you don't get that job, you get yourself back together, go get another one. If that one don't work, you get ready to go get another interview. I know people get so many jobs. How you keep finding people to hire you? I was one cat, every time I turn around, he got another job. How you keep getting jobs? But what you see is constant seeking, constant seeking. If something don't work out, they don't just stop, but let it come to these spiritual things. We quick to admit defeat. Go ahead. Matthew 18, and let's start at verse 23.
Therefore is the kingdom of heaven like unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But for as much as he had not to pay, his master commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Adonai, have patience with me, and I will pay you all.
Now check this out. It says verse 25, but for as much as he had not to pay, his master commanded him to be sold, not just him, and his wife, and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. Go ahead.
Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt.
When he forgave him that debt, that meant all the family then was given a part of this blessing here. So this is not just about him, because everybody was about to go to jail. Everybody was about to go be sold to pay this debt off. So this wasn't just about him. Go ahead.
But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me what you owe us.
Now, he was just forgiven, but now he choking somebody. But see, that's that same mindset. Forgive me, but kill him. That's that thing that you see out, you know, God bless America and no place else. What? So God ain't supposed to bless nobody but America? See, somehow we got that mindset too. See, you can't just keep being around the daughter of Babylon and not pick up some of her ways. Go ahead.
Verse 29. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I'll pay you all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt.
Right. He had an opportunity to show the same compassion that was showed on him. but he would not. He wouldn't hear it. He couldn't hear it. Now, do you understand? He went and cast him into prison. What was saved from him was his whole family. He owed enough that his entire family was going to be sold to pay that debt. He couldn't have enough compassion to save the one man, yet his whole family. See, a lot of times people look at this as even. No, it wasn't even. He should have had way more in his heart. This is what the parable was about when it was asked Cephas, who would love the Adonai more? The one whom he forgave many sins, or the one whom he forgave, just a few sins? He said the one who he forgave many sins. So when you are forgiven many sins, your love should be higher than the person. That's why I always look at the people funny who come in the door and say, yeah, pretty much I already had it together. Like, yeah, we're going to have a problem out of them. Like, they think they had it together when they got here. They doing us a favor. Yeah, I just thought I'd come by here and see how y'all doing on the Sabbath. Oh, you blessed us with your presence. I mean, doggone. Right. I say, yeah, we're going to have a problem out of them. Right. Never fails. Never fails. Hey, boy, never fails. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 31. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their master all that was done. Then his master, after that he had called him, said unto him, O you wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you desireth me. Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, even as I had pity on you?
Right. You would have just forgiven a debt that would have kept one man. He forgave a bigger debt that was for your whole family. Go ahead.
And his master was angry and delivered him to the tormentors, so he should pay all that was due unto him.
So, this is the part you got to understand. At the end, the unforgiven servant was not sold to pay for his debt. He was not made to work harsh, rigorous labor because of the debt. He was tormented because he wouldn't forgive somebody else. Let's make sure you understand the focus of this story, because a lot of people look at this, well, see, this is why he was sold. No. He was already forgiven the debt. The debt would have never been mentioned. But see, people a lot of times saying, okay, well, you going back and you pulling up old stuff. All you had to do was walk right. You ain't had to worry about the old stuff. The old stuff wasn't going to show back up. See? The old stuff is dead. As long as you walk like it's old stuff. But if you start walking in old stuff like it's new stuff, you made it new stuff. See? You made it new stuff. The debt was gone. Other people start bringing it back. Hey, man, you know that dude you let go? Man, he just choked what's his name over there for like a tenth of what you say him for. I mean, he choked him out, Jack. Man, slobbing and everything. Right. That came back to this man. Go ahead, bro.
His thought was like sanitary. Since I was forgiven, I'm always forgiven no matter what I do.
You know, and I know some people didn't hear that. He was saying that thought was like this doctrine that we learned in Sunday church, that once forgiven, always forgiven. And that's this perpetual forgiveness no matter what you do, which allows a lot of people to sin constantly as long as they got enough breath left in them on their dying day to say, forgive me, Lord. And they say, I'm straight, I'm on my way. You know, nah, you believe that if you want to. You go ahead, you try that. There's gonna be a whole lot of people wake up upset. They done hell their whole life, and they think just before I die, I just say them couple words. Right. Go ahead, brother, finish that up.
Verse 35. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, If you from your hearts forgive not everyone his brother their trespasses.
Now, do understand, forgiving somebody don't mean that you lay down to become somebody's doormat. That's not what that is. See, you can't forgive somebody in the process of them still doing something to you. That's not what that means. Do understand, this debt was forgiven, but the way that the guy acted in dealing with other people, he brought the debt back up. Let's go to our Judges chapter 1. See, you have to move like you don't want stuff to come back up. You can't operate in a way that continuously brings the stuff back to the top. See, it was a thing that the old folk used to say. They used to say you can't stir up doo-doo. And I was like, what are you talking about? Stir up doo-doo. You know, you leave doo-doo alone, don't stink. Boy, you go over there and go messing with it, you go, God! Right? There's some stuff you gotta leave alone. Cause you'll find that the stink just level off a little bit when you leave it alone. Boy, but when you go over there and stir it up, oh, it stink. They got all this, they got a new and an old stink with it. You be like, what in the world is that? Right. You have to know how to spiritually leave something. That means you got to walk in a certain way. When I got in trouble when I was young, they gave me that First Offender Act. So they was like, that means this right here shall never be mentioned in court again ever. But then they gave me that thing. All right now, but see, that means if you don't do nothing else for a certain period of time, this will be done away with under the First Offender Act. Now, if you do anything else in this time, then we get to pick that old thing back up and we throw it in the bucket too. Wait a minute. So if I get in trouble now, I'm gonna have two things in the bucket? Two things in the bucket. I said, uh-oh. You got to walk like you know there's something else hanging over that bucket. You know you don't put something over that bucket. Don't act like you don't know what's over that bucket. Walk like you got, hey man, something over that bucket. Hey bro, you want to go out? Man, something over that bucket. So you don't want to hang out? Something over the bucket. You gotta act like you know something over that bucket. I got to go this much space so that thing get out over that bucket. Because if it fall in that bucket, man, I got two things to deal with, and that ain't going to be pretty for me. Judges chapter 1, and let's read verses 1 through 7.
Now after the death of Yahshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked Yahweh, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first, to fight against them? And Yahweh said, Yehudah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. And Yehudah said unto Simeon his brother, come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I likewise will go with you into your lot. So Simeon went with him. And Yehudah went up, and Yahweh delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand. And they slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men.
Now, Yahweh had already set forth that this was a wickedness that had been done in this land, and Yahweh is executing judgment in this land and making Israel execute that judgment. This is the thing that we don't get, that Israel was created to be a servant, so that there's some kind of work that Israel has to do. So even in getting the land, he's not just giving them the land. There's some work that has to be done even in getting it. Go ahead.
And they found Adonai-Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites. But Adonai-Bezek fled, and they pursued after him, and caught him, and cut off his thumbs and his great toes.
Now, you have to first ask yourself, you ain't going to read nowhere else in the book where we cutting off people's thumbs and toes. What in the world you cutting off thumbs and toes for? This is Yahweh's punishment. See, remember, there was evil already done in this land. A lot of things, this is how you have to open yourself up to be a servant in Yahweh. Because somehow this direction was given to them to do this to this man. Read the next verse.
And Adonai-Bezek said,
now this is what he said.
70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table. As I have done, so Elohim has requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died.
They could have just killed him. But no, y'all, no. You done cut off other people's thumbs and great toes. This is what's going to happen to you. Now, he did this. How many say? 70? 70. That's how many people he done that to. See, what happened is, when Yahweh don't deal with something right away, people think they've gotten away with it, and they think Yahweh agree with it. When somebody get their thumbs and great toes cut off, they are no more threat to anybody else ever. All your balance is in your big toe. You can't even make a fist without your thumb. This hold all the rest of your fingers. Without that, you might well just be slapping somebody. Y'all have a slap fight. That's a little girl fight. You ain't got no fist. My little girls will beat you up. That's all you got right there. Pow! Get out of here. You can't even do this. There's no power whatsoever. You ain't got no shoes on. You step and watch your big toe as you can see real good with babies. As they moving, you'll see the big toe doing everything to keep the balance. Without that big toe, you hitting the floor every time. Bah! So understand what was done here. There's no more power in that person once that is done. And Yahweh made sure that that is the thing that happened to him. And even he knew why it happened unto him. The question is, when things come back to us, do we know why? Let's go to Job chapter 2. See, we talking, think about this, 70. You know how long that is that he has done that? See, when those things come back to our house, do we start going, woe is me, and we don't know why this is happening? Job chapter 2, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Again, there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them to present himself before Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Satan, From whence cometh you? And Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it.
Right. Understand that Satan has the free movement to go back and forth, up and down in the earth. That power will not be taken away from him until later on in Revelation. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, Have you considered my servant Job?
Right. I ain't got to ask you what you do. I know what you do. Have you considered my servant Job? I know what you're going to do. You've been doing it for a long time. Go ahead.
That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth Elohim and escheweth evil.
So understand, before you even deal with anything happening unto Job, none of this is because Yahweh is angry with him. Yahweh is actually bragging on him, saying he's a perfect and upright man. But there's still something that Yahweh desires out of Job, a little growth, if you will, and he's going to use Lucifer to do it. So just because Yahweh allows somebody evil to do something in your life, it may be for a different reason than what you think. Go ahead.
And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although you moveth me against him to destroy him without a cause.
Right, because he's already made a move, already once. See, this is the second go round. Go ahead.
And Satan answered Yahweh and said, Skin for skin, yeah, all that a man has will he give for his life.
Right, he already took his substance. So he was figuring, okay, I'll take his money. He gonna curse Elohim. Go ahead.
But put forth your hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Behold, he is in your hand, but save his life.
Right, when you save his life, you also save that woman's life. If you notice, it was told he could not do anything to him. Right? But yet, right off the rip, all the kids were killed. All the substance was taken. All the kids was taken. But the wife is still there. She is protected because he has joined with her. His life and her life is one life. That's the reason she's living to start with. Go ahead.
Verse 7. So went Satan forth from the presence of Yahweh, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, Does you still retain your integrity? Curse Elohim and die.
Right. Because see, the wife worried about herself. Man, I got to look at this dude with all these scabs all over him from your head to your toe. Now, she's alive because of him. But she's looking at her own. It's very inconvenient for her, to deal with this man. So right off the rip, curse Elohim and die. This is what the wife says. Now, do understand that none of this is happening to Job because Yahweh is upset with him. This is chapter 2. I think this go to what, chapter 42? In chapter 2, the wife has already said, curse Elohim and die. That's chapter 2 now. Chapter 2. So you have to wonder, when you decide to enter into a relationship, do you have a chapter 2 person or a 42? So you got to figure out, what chapter you about to marry. You got a chapter 2 wife or a chapter 2 husband, or you got a chapter 42 wife or husband. Understand that. Chapter 2. She has said, curse Elohim and die. We ain't even got to the thickness of it yet. Go ahead.
But he said unto her, You speaketh as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of Elohim?
Right. Now understand, he had money before. He got cattle. He got all of these things. So the wife is cool. Everything's funny when you got a lot of money. Everybody your friend in. Everybody smiling. They smile extra long. When you got deep pockets. Go ahead.
And shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Nehemathite, for they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off, and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept.
He looked so bad that they started crying. Go ahead.
And they rent every one his mantle, and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great.
All right, so hold your place because we're going to come back to Job, but let's go to Genesis chapter 3.
Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said you shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, there's a reason why the serpent is even going for the woman. Because he knows and he's going to use her emotions and feelings against her. Now, don't get it twisted like man doesn't have any feelings, because Yahweh has feelings, and he said, let us make man in our image. So man has feelings just as women have feelings, but it's how those things are dealt with. Man was made from the earth, the woman was made from flesh. Go ahead.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim have said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die.
Right. Now, she's repeating what was told to her husband. Now, he know he talking secondhand. You think he don't know that? He know what he doing. Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die. For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise? She took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam, and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you that you was naked?
Who you been talking to? Who you been talking to? That's a question a lot of times we should ask when somebody come home and they talking out the side of their neck. You know, we should do such and such. Who you been talking to? Where you get that from? Who told you you was naked? See, Yahweh moving on his own time. We know we have a law that tells us how we're supposed to carry ourselves. But to Yahweh, these was nothing but children. They didn't have any understanding. They was able to be naked and unashamed. And this is constantly the thing that we want to do, that kids have constantly. Everybody want to grow up before the time to be grown. I want to be grown. I can't wait to go do such and such. You do know it's responsibilities to come with that though, right? Some people just think, well, I get to stay up all night and go to parties. Right, and you get to pay bills. Go ahead.
Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman whom you gave it to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Right, so it's Yahweh's fault. You gave me this woman, and then that woman, she had gave me, and that's why, because. Right. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, What is this that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
Right. See, a lot of times people will tell you that, you know, the man was right there when it happened. But when you start going through this, you have to question that, whether or not he was there at the immediate point that she ate it, or how did the conversation had to happen with her alone. And then she either brought that to him, and then she ate it right before him, and then he ate it. Because this conversation between her and the serpent don't include him. So that conversation with her, don't say nothing about, because this was the part where he should have came into it. Because what you talking about wife for? What y'all talking about? No, we ain't talking about, we ain't having no conversation about the tree now. We're not talking about the tree. This is off topic right here. We're not talking about this at all. So there's no mentioning of him in that conversation. But then when you talk about eating it, now you see it says, she gave me and I did eat. So she's proving to him, see, you ain't gonna die. Watch. Here. Take a bite of death. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Genesis chapter 3 and verse 14. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.
Right. And because there are separate entities in this thing, you see separate levels of punishments. Go ahead.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you.
Right. Now, we don't know what the arrangement was going to be before. It says, your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. You have to wonder, what was he going to make before then? If this had not happened, what was going to be the arrangement between man and woman? All we can do now is speculate, because it didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen. Go ahead.
And unto Adam he said, Because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife.
Right. The voice of your wife. So the adversary the serpent did not enter into that serpent and go and convince him. He was not convinced by the serpent. He was convinced by his wife. Go ahead.
And have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face shall you eat bread, till you return onto the ground.
You return onto the ground. Do understand, this was man's paradise. Man already had a paradise in the garden. He was able to reach his hand down in the ground and pull out whatever he wanted. He didn't have to till nothing. He didn't have to worry about planting and going and working. He didn't have to do none of that. So when people start talking about us going to paradise, no. You already got your paradise. You don't get another one. Go ahead.
For out of it was you taken, for dust you art, and unto dust shall you return.
Right. So man is supposed to be buried in the ground. There's not supposed to be any burning of our bodies and spreading across the seas and all this kind of mess. Let's go back to Job. We're going to go to Job chapter 4. So these are things that we pick up from other cultures. Yahweh said, from the dust you came, and that's where you're supposed to go back to.
Job chapter 4 and verse 1. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we essay to commune with you, will you be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, you have instructed many, and you have strengthened the weak hands. Your words have upholden him that was falling, and you have strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come all upon you, and you fainted. It toucheth you, and you are troubled. Is not this your fear, your confidence, your hope, and the uprightness of your ways? Remember, I pray you, whoever perished, being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. By the blast of Elohim they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. The roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men, fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes, there was silence, and I heard a voice saying, shall mortal man be more just than Elohim? Shall a man be more pure than his maker?
Do understand, there are certain situations where Yahweh is allowing some things to happen, and there are some other entities that are just perfect for the job. And they're perfect for the job because it's some harsh things that need to be done, and he don't have to move them to do it. It's already in them. So when Yahweh removed the hedge from the children of Israel, he didn't have to convince the nations to come in and attack us. They already, had that in their heart anyway. All they had to do was remove the hedge, and everything went on and took its course. So wanting to get a deeper relationship with Job, these friends are playing a purpose in the harsh way in which they're speaking with him. They're doing their job too, whether they know it. Say, what I tell people is this right here. Everybody work for Yahweh. Just some people gonna get paid and others ain't. Lucifer worked for Yahweh. You see, he orchestrated everything that he need to orchestrate. He's not gonna get paid for it. Judas worked for Yahweh. Not gonna get paid though. Or shall I say his payment ain't gonna be good payment. Go ahead.
In the situation of like what you're talking about with them all waiting for their opportunity. I mean, we're all parents, and we those who have children, more than one, can understand. And we, as children of our parents, if there's more than one of us, can understand. If you show favor to one child, there's going to be indignation from the other. So you can see us being a peculiar people, how the nations hate us until this day. All nations hate us. We were given favor in their sight.
Right.
Throughout scripture, we can hear them say, Yahweh's with them, Elohim's with them. They have not forgotten that.
And I'm glad you said if you had more than one child. Because I keep telling people, you got one kid, y'all practicing. Y'all practicing. Once you get that second one, you keep touching me. Mama, you looking at me. Mama, 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 dad, daddy, 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 where mama? Right. Nah, y'all practice parenting. Y'all ain't got but one. Oh, enjoy your little one. And let me tell you something. It's a certain thing that develop in the mind of the one child too, because they don't have to share nothing. They don't have to worry about nobody else's feelings. They don't have to do anything. But that ends up creating a grown person who don't think about nobody else's feelings. They don't ever have to think about what other people have to go through. They don't never have to think about sharing. The only thing that matters is what they feel and how they feel at that particular time. You know, I keep telling people, being single is legal selfishness. You ain't got nobody but you to worry about. Once you get a family, you don't get to be selfish no more. Your selfishness is no longer legal. Now your selfishness is illegal. You know you got kids and you come home and you ain't get nobody else that need. You won't do them. Kids, hey man, you got some more of that? Oh no, I ain't gonna get you on that. What? Yeah. See, that's not legal. That's not legal. See, that was legal when you was by yourself. That's completely legal. There wasn't nobody but you. So that's why I tell people, you ain't got but one kid. Now you know you got like a demo parent. You see, you like that demonstration. You know, it's already open in the store. We got batteries in it. You know what I'm saying? You know, press to see me work. Yeah, all right. So this is how kids work. Yeah. Okay, get to them. Then the party gets started. Go ahead.
Job chapter 4 and verse 18. Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Does not their excellency which is in them go away? They die, even without wisdom.
All right, let's jump to chapter 8. Chapter 8 in Job, and let's go verses 1 through 6.
Verse 1. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, How long will you speak these things? And how long shall the words of your mouth be like a strong wind? Does Elohim pervert judgment? Or does the Almighty pervert justice?
Right. So at some point, it's in the carnal mind to always assess some kind of reason for the particular situation. So Job is most definitely, you got to understand and keep in your mind that it was fire coming down from heaven and burnt up some of his substance. So you know automatically, what do they say? The fire of Elohim have come and did such and such. So they automatically think that this is something that Yahweh himself has done. And you can hear it in there in some of the things that's being said. Yet Yahweh in the beginning was bragging on him, but at the same time, Yahweh is allowing a purge to happen with Job. See, so that's a process. Go ahead.
Verse 4. If your children have sinned against him, and he have cast them away for their transgression.
Understand that this man lost all his kids, man, and now this is his friend saying, your kid must have done something wrong. That's why all of them dead. Yeah, that's what's wrong with it. That's why they dead. That's why your kids gone. So they must have done something. You just don't know what it is. But that's why they dead. That's pretty hard. and he lost all of them together. He ain't lose one of them now. He lost everything. And this is them consoling him. If this is how y'all gonna come to console me, stay at home. Don't come by my house. I go through something, don't come out. Yeah, sorry, we so sorry that happened to you. But it's just. You deserved it, you know. Well, thank you for that. Get the hell out of here. Go ahead.
And if you were to seek unto Elohim betimes, and make your supplication to the Almighty, if you were pure and upright, surely now he would have await for you, and make the habitations of your righteousness prosperous.
You know, when you look at this, it would be one thing if you had, you see how the other man before said 70 kings having their great, their thumbs and great toes cut off. You know, he knew that he had done something. They can't even present anything that Job have done. See, don't take this out of context. See, don't have selective amnesia, because we have a problem with that. We got selective amnesia that we don't remember any of the things that we did when stuff start happening to us, and act like we don't know why it's happening. Don't push that other button. That other button that you can actually receive, you know, these things, because otherwise, just like we said in the opening, if Yahweh is trying to cleanse that wedding garment and he dip it in some cleaning solution, but it don't work, guess what? He got to dip it again. So all your denial that it didn't happen or such and such ain't there, don't worry, Yahweh gonna dip you again until that stain get out of that wedding garment. Your wedding garment is the spirit, and you have to be clothed with that to enter into that kingdom. So if it's not clean, it's got to be dipped again. So a situation encounter itself here, and you say, I ain't gonna deal with it, don't worry, y'all will present another bucket to dip you in. There you go, dip in that one right there. It ain't got to be the same place or the same person. Yahweh gonna keep dipping it until it come clean. How many times you can go through the wash is up to you. Go ahead.
You know, in a situation, we got a bunch of people who, with their supposes and maybe and this and that, in the sight of this man who is known he has done nothing wrong.
Right.
You can understand how confusing it could be when these people are presenting, well, this has happened because maybe you did this. I remember younger, and I used to hear this too. Well, if you're going to accuse me of it, I might as well do it.
Right.
He never had that thought process. Some of us get that thought process. Well, if you're going to keep accusing me that I did this, I might as well go ahead and do it.
And this is, you know, quite interesting. You know, Job does go into a bit of a pity party, but you can understand his pity party. Losing all his kids, losing all his substance, then have his wife tell him, just curse Elohim and die. Then here come your 3 partners. I'm talking about your H. Boone Coon, your Soda Crocker, he don't get no blacker. He shows up with 2 more of his friends, and then they start telling you your kid must have done something wrong. You must have done something wrong. But they don't have anything to relate that to. But see, the human nature is to come and assess some kind of blame when it could just be that Yahweh wants a better relationship with you. But it's hard to recognize that if something happened and I just say it's his fault. You know, that's why this happening. So you know what's gonna happen? Then next week I'm gonna have a problem with that brother. Then it's his fault. Then sooner or later you're gonna have to realize, wait a minute, this happening to me for me. This ain't about who it's happening with. Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it right there. Let's go to Job chapter 15. So that was Bildad. Let's hear something else from Eliphaz.
Job chapter 15 and verse 1. Then answered Eliphaz the Temanite and said, should a wise man utter vain knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? Should he reason with unprofitable talk, or with speeches wherewith he can do no good? Yea, you casteth off fear, and restraineth prayer before Elohim. For your mouth uttereth your iniquity, and you chooseth the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemneth you, and not I.
Right. Go ahead.
Yea, your own lips testify against you. Are you the first man that was born? Or was you made before the hills?
Do you understand now? Job was rich before this. See, sometimes you need a good fall so you can see who is truly around you and what may be the reasons they are around you. There were some people that I really thought was on my side until my elder passed and I went through some things, and then you find all of a sudden there's some people that feel like, oh, you done fail and you ain't never gonna get back up again, and now I'm my bone for I'm gonna kick you. Boy, I'm gonna kick you now. I couldn't wait till you fail. And all of a sudden you looking and it's like, wow, I thought that person really had love for me. Here comes all the indignation. And at the end of the day, man, you don't want it for yourself, but you have to thank Yahweh that he allowed a situation to happen that reveal the true nature of the hearts surrounding you. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Have you heard the secret of Elohim? And does you restrain wisdom to yourself? What knoweth you that we know not?
Right, what you know and we don't know? We just smaller than you. Go ahead.
What understandeth you, which is not in us? With us are both the gray-headed and very aged men, much elder than your father. Are the constellations of Elohim small with you? Is there any secret thing with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And what do your eyes wink at? That you turneth your spirit against Elohim, and letteth such words go out of your mouth. What is man, that he should be clean? And he which is born of a woman, that he should be righteous. Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. How much more abominable and filthy is man, which drinketh iniquity like water.
How much more abominable and filthy is man, which drinketh iniquity like water. Let's go to back up to Job chapter 11. And let's hear what Zophar has to say. One of the things. Because these things go back and forth.
Job chapter 11 and verse 1. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, should not the multitude of words be answered, and should a man full of talk be justified? Should your lies make men hold their peace? And when you mock it, shall no man make you ashamed?
Should your lies make men hold their peace? Do you understand now that this is all coming to a man that has lost many things and has yet done no wrong? Go ahead.
For you have said, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in your eyes. But oh, that Elohim would speak and open his lips against you.
It's funny because I hear a lot of people when they go through some things compare themselves to Job, not understanding that Job didn't have, any things that anybody could present against him for fault. See, I can't make such a charge. Go ahead.
And that he would show you the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that Elohim exacteth of you less than your iniquity deserveth.
Elohim exact of you less than your iniquity deserve. So you should be suffering more than that. Go ahead.
Can you by searching find out Elohim? Can you find out the Almighty unto perfection?
So when you see, and we're not going through all of the things that Job is doing, and yeah, he gets into a whining, thing, but you have to consider, he has put forth nothing. He didn't plant these things. See, this is a different thing that's happening here. This is not about any of his doings. Go ahead.
It is as high as heaven. What can you do? Deeper than hell. What can you know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. If he cut off and shut up, or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knoweth vain men. He seeth wickedness also. Will he not then consider it? For vain man would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass colt. If you prepare your heart and stretch out your hands toward him, if iniquity be in your hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in your tabernacles. For then shall you lift up your face without spot, yea, you shall be steadfast and shall not fear. Because you shall forget your misery and remember it as waters that pass away. And your age shall be clearer than the noonday. You shall shine forth, you shall be as the morning. And you shall be secure, because there is hope. Yea, you shall dig about you, and you shall take your rest in safety. Also you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. Yea, many shall make suit unto you. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost.
All right, now let's go to Job chapter 42.
Job chapter 42 and verse 1. Then Job answered Yahweh and said, I know that you can do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from you. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understand not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Hear, I beseech you, and I will speak. I will demand of you, and declare you unto me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eyes see it.
Right. It's a completely different level with Yahweh. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see. Remember, there are things that is talking about having the fear of Yahweh. And people who Yahweh do not show his power to, they have a tendency not to truly fear Yahweh. See? So they wonder, why are you doing what you do? They don't have any fear of Yahweh in their heart because he hasn't shown them his power. There's some of those mixed martial arts dudes. They look like Poindexter when they come out of their little fighting uniform. And because people don't know that they fighters, some people have walked up to them and ran off at the mouth a little bit. But they don't know this dude's a killer. He looked like, he just, some kind of chemist or something. But he's a chemist in taking bones apart. He just don't look like it when he put on regular clothes. And some people have gotten taught like that. They got a little a school right down here in Columbus called the School of Americas, where they train these people who they send in third world countries. Half of these, Bin Laden might have been trained there for all we know. This is where they train all these people and then send them to other places. Here's the problem. You can go to Columbus and be at the Walmart and get to arguing with some dude and be like, move, Julio, if I slap you. And Julio like, I killed 14 people today. You know what I'm saying? Be like, hey, bro, you don't really know who you running up on. You really don't know what kind of, training people have undergone. Well, there's certain training that we have to undergo to be true servants of Yahweh. So that means everything not going to happen the way you want it to happen. Go ahead.
You know, and also if you starting an army, you building an army, you're not going with people who have never been through anything.
Right.
It's like he said, who's afraid? Send them back.
Right. Don't even come.
So while we whining and going through stuff, it's preparation. But the mental's got to be there first. That's where the first part of the fight begins or ends.
Yeah, can you imagine getting ready to go against the enemy and you look to your left and like, what were you doing? Yeah. Oh, man. You should have left and went back home, bro. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so that after Yahweh had spoken these words unto Job, Yahweh said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My anger is kindled against you and against your two friends.
After, this is chapter 42. They done went all the way through and they done said all kind of things to him. And Yahweh let him do it. Just because Yahweh let somebody make accusations against your character, and because he let them, that don't mean he agree with them. He let them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk. No. Yahweh thinks it's good for you to hear it. No. I ain't gonna stop him. Let him say what he called. He called you a dirty dog. Ooh. Say some more. See? No. I'm not gonna stop that. It's going to make you better. That don't mean he ain't gonna deal with it when they done though. See, but he gonna let them talk. Go ahead.
For you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams.
He said, against you, my wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends. Go ahead.
And go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you.
Now, here's where the other part of the test comes for us and the person who goes through all that. After these people done said all of this mess to him, they have to then go and make a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. So, Job then is in the position of a priest. They offering burnt offerings coming to him. Then he prays for them. You have to still be in a position to still pray for somebody who has done you wrong. When Yahweh say it's over, it's over. Go ahead.
For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job.
Now, don't get this twisted. Yahweh is now saying, you have not spoken right like my servant Job. There are some parts in here where Yahweh starts straight dealing with Job. I'm talking about he dealing with him, asking him some seriously hard questions. So don't think, yeah, he accepts Job, but he pushed Job at the same time. But then again, whatever branch bears fruit, he purges it so that it brings forth more fruit. Go ahead.
So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Nehemiahite went and did according as Yahweh commanded them. Yahweh also accepted Job. And Yahweh turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends.
Now, the captivity of Job turned when he prayed for them. See, there's some things that we may be doing for one reason, and all other things end up opening up. There's some things that may happen in your life that you sitting over here praying for this situation, and all of a sudden all this other stuff started happening over here. Right. That was Yahweh. Go ahead.
Also Yahweh gave Job twice as much as he had before.
So all the stuff he done lost, do understand that Yahweh has the power to give you back everything that he's ever taken from you. Every time the children of Israel have been invaded and they took all of these things, Yahweh turned around and gave the stuff back when it was time for them to go back. Go ahead.
Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comfort him over all the evil that Yahweh had brought upon him.
Because Yahweh allowed it. Even though the adversary, the devil, see, this is the thing. The adversary will do things to destroy you, while Yahweh is trying to purge other things from you for real spiritual growth. It might be the same punishment or the same situation, but they're there for different reasons. Go ahead.
Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So Yahweh blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Yemamiah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen Hapach. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren.
Consider this now. We talk about all of these things. The women are receiving inheritance among men. Do you understand that in part of this trial, he had a woman that said, curse Elohim and die. So these children was already grown. So chances are this ain't the same woman here that bore these children. See, so that means out of all of that, Yahweh took every child that woman bore. All of these children are from a whole nother thing. You have to consider something, that situations that happen around you expose some situations or expose the trueness of people's heart. If somebody would have told you that his wife was a certain kind of person, you have to wonder if he would have even believed him. But in chapter 2, she was already at curse Elohim and die. So you have to wonder when you get to chapter 42, who it is that's having these kids. Because, and then on top of that, it mentions the daughters. It don't even mention, this book has a tendency to deal with the patriarchs, men. A lot of times, that's what makes people think in Genesis that it wasn't no women, because it mentions sons, because the lineage follows the sons. They specifically mention daughters here. Go ahead.
Verse 16. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.
Right. And still, after all of that living, they haven't mentioned anything about the woman that urged him to curse Elohim. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 9.
Verse 1.
Go ahead. Start at verse 1. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, and let's start that at verse 1.
First, touching the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you. For I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal hath provoked very many. Yet have I sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, you may be ready. Least happily, if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared, we say not you should be ashamed in this same confident boasting. Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before unto you and make up beforehand your bounty, whereof you had notice before, that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty and not as of covetousness. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully.
Right. What you put into your salvation is what you shall receive out of it. So if you don't make any deposits, you can't make no withdrawals. You can't show up at the bank just telling people, hey, I need to get 10,000 off. He said, all right, well, you got an account here? Yeah. Well, give me your account number. Add in. So you got $10 in here. But I thought this was a bank. Yeah, it is. But see, you have to make deposits before you can make withdrawals. You can't get 10,000 off. You ain't put no money in here. So you got to make some deposits before you get to make withdrawals. So you get out of it what you put into it. So if you don't put nothing into your salvation, then you're going to end up in spiritual bankruptcy. That ain't going to work. See, when it comes down to what we say we care about, you can tell if we actually care about it when you look at our account. See, there's a reason why you get certain advertisements on your computer, because you don't went on that computer and you looked at something else. So you went on that computer and you go on something, or you done went on Facebook and you done looked at something. Next time you're on your computer, advertisement pop up. Why? Because they said, oh, I know what you're interested in. Yeah, I seen you visited this site right here. You was looking for such and such. So now all the commercials coming on the internet match that thing. So you might say, I'm interested in one thing, but your computer, this is why they put that stuff on there. So they'll know which things to market to you. So you have to ask yourself, does any of the marketing on your computer come up Bible or salvation issues? When they look at your account, do they say, oh yeah, this person right here, they all about the kingdom of Yahweh? When they look at your purchases, do it say, man, look how much they've given to their church. Look how many things that they have bought that are, word related. See, people don't think about that. Your actions have to match that thing that you say you care about. When I was doing stand-up comedy, this guy came up to me and I was ready to fight. This cat told me, man, you know what, man, you funny, but you ain't no comedian. I'm like, who you talking to? I was ready. I was like, how did you do? First of all, you don't know me, bro. You don't know me, bro. You don't just get to walk up and say that to me. So after I, had my feeling party, and I got through with my little feeling party. Me and the dude, we had to have a conversation, and the guy was broke it down as to how he got to that conclusion. He said, man, you came here and you got a standing ovation. He said, but we ain't seen you in 6 months. See, I hated clubs. I always did. And the guy said, you see, all these dudes, we all been going to sometimes 3 and 4 clubs a week, and sometimes 2 clubs in a night, and all of us see each other. And every last one of us has seen each other for 6 months. And this is the first time we seeing you again, after you got a standing ovation. He said, so you funny, but you ain't no comedian. So I'm still pissed off, so I'm now I got to go home. I got to figure this out, because after I got past my little feeling part, then I got to realize, wait a minute. So the guy got a point. If this is the place that comedians have to go to make it, why do I hate going to that place? That means that gift wasn't given to me for that. And people who knew me in my past life, they always say, you know what, man, you missed your calling. No, I didn't. This is what the gift was given for. I wasn't supposed to be in that. That's why I hated clubs. He put this little thing in there. So I go in there, I get a standing ovation, and I hate the play. I can't wait to get out of here. Everybody's like, but bro, this is where you need to be if you're going to make it. Well, I ain't going to make it then. There it is. See, Yahweh put the right thing in there to make sure it ain't going to happen there, because that's not what that's for. You have to ask yourself, is Yahweh able to benefit from your gifts? Or do you think all your gifts is about you? With the money that you make, does Yahweh get to benefit from it? Or do you think it's all about you? If they check my account, they're going to say, oh, yeah, he care about the word. Because they know where all his money going. Yeah, he spent everything at that church. That's why he broke as a joke. Hey, they ain't no, it's going to match. When they look at your stuff, will they say, that person love Yahweh? Look at their actions. Look at what they purchase. Look at how they move. Look at the sites that they go to. See, I had a brother that I helped out, and I let him. He lived in my house for a while, and he was, I thought he slept all the time, but apparently he slept when I was there, and then when I went to sleep, he got back up, and he was going on my computer late at night, and I didn't figure this out until I went on my computer, and apparently the brother was doing a lot of gambling or whatever, and gambling is also connected to porn sites. So when you gamble, they automatically start throwing that those other things on there as well. Now he could have been visiting those in the wee hours of the morning as well. I don't know. All I know is I turned on my computer, and then boobies and everything else just jumped out. I'm going crazy because I'm trying to figure out who is seeing this as this stuff pop up on my computer. And me and old boy, we had to have a talk. Hey, bro, why is booby time on my computer, bro? What are you going on? How I turn my computer on, man, and all this stuff jump up. Right, because that's what was being visited on my computer. So those was the advertisements that came. So depending on how far back they look, they might say, well, you're going to start getting interested in some other stuff too now. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey. Go ahead, bro. Let's finish this up.
2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 7. Every man according as he purposed in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity. For Elohim loveth a cheerful giver. And Elohim is able to make all grace abound toward you, that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. As it is written, he has dispersed abroad, he has given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever. Now he that ministereth seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to Elohim. For the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto Elohim.
Right. We have to consider there are people who have donated to this congregation that we have never seen. People who give bountifully unto this congregation, and we really thank them for their offerings. It's not a thing whereby we don't go out and talk about tithing and all of those things, but people understand that it takes the giving to make things work. We can't pray to the tell Georgia Powell, yeah, man, we're doing a good work for the Lord. Like, yeah, and they do a good work for this bill and pay it. They don't give us no slack on that, So when you talk about these things, we just have to make sure we don't make merchandise of people. Matter of fact, we put more stuff out for free than anybody else. A lot of these documentaries and things that we were putting out, my elder, before he passed, wanted us to start selling those things on the internet. And we did sell some of those things before, but ever since we started on our own, we have not put one thing for sale. Man, you go to some of these Hebrew sites, man, they got clothing for sale. They got everything for sale. You can't even get the word for all the stuff that they got for sale. Then they got special shirts. You got your friend shirts. You got your they got everything for sale. You got to go through 3 pages of things for sale before you get one drop of the word. And let me tell you something. Y'all, let every man do whatever he feel like he got to do. But do understand, Yahweh is going to hold us accountable for it. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Whilst by the experiment of this ministration they glorify Elohim for your professed subjection unto the gospel of the Mashiach, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men, and by their prayer for you, which long after you, for the exceeding grace of Elohim in you. Thanks be unto Elohim for his unspeakable gift.
Right. And there are places where he said, you know, I robbed other churches that I may give unto you. And they're helping him be able to go from place to place to be able to speak this word. But there's a lot of times a purging that has to happen in our mind so that we begin to assess the right priorities when it comes to spiritual things versus natural things. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Purge.